Hello, welcome to AI in Action. My name is Maurie and I'm here with my husband Jim, and it is Sunday evening and we are going to talk about artificial intelligence. So we are very, very busy, or we're headed into our busy season. We have been busy over the summer, but August is actually one of our busier months, not only for our day job, because teachers are coming back, students are coming back.
And they're coming back earlier this year.
Summer has been really short. We've got things going on. We had a bond election thing, and we have big projects that are happening. I am a little bit stressed, actually.
I've noticed.
A little grumpy.
I've noticed that
probably.
too.
So you don't have to agree with me.
Oh, I thought I was supposed to agree with you.
Anyway, we have all of these things coming up. These professional developments. We're going to be going into several different schools. As I mentioned earlier, we're actually going to be headed back to California for a training, which is awesome, except I don't like to fly. I'm a little nervous about that, which that's also contributing to the grumpy just a little bit. But we want to provide the best professional development experience that we can. And in my career, I have been to a lot of professional development sessions. And there are always those that you remember, and then there's those that you're hoping you can forget them just as soon as you walk out the door. I've been to some really good ones. I've been to some really bad ones. So when I give professional development to teachers, I want it to be one of those really great ones, something that they really remember. I want to blow their mind. Okay?
Yeah, and at the same time, you and I have always looked for those eureka moments, where someone we've even had people literally stand up and say, I got it.
Almost like a shout out.
It's almost like a shout out. And I really enjoy those.
Yes.
A lot. To me, it's a lot of that is about the wow factor.
Right. But what we find impressive is to us sometimes, because it's kind of like when
worse for me.
It's a lot worse for you. I mean, you tell me something that's new and exciting, and I'm like, that's amazing. And you're like, no, it's not that great. I'm like, no, you don't understand. That's game changing. And you're like, no, it's not that great.
We had that argument whenever I built Agnes a year and a half ago.
Yes. I mean, things, and I think this is something that we have a hard time with, because I want to blow their mind. I think the things that are blowing their mind and the things that they're having those eureka moments for are things that we're not thinking that's going to be it. And so it's the technology interaction has changed with artificial intelligence.
Well, we like to think so.
Yes.
The thing that I talk a lot about, I kind of ramble about it quite often, or maybe a rant is the right word. Talk a lot about how people interact with technology in movies. And there's a lot of different paradigms, but I really like to pay attention to that in movies, because I feel like the people that create movies spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to make the interaction. They don't want the technology to overshadow the human element of the movie. So they kind of push it in a way, or to maybe sometimes they push it in the background, but a lot of times it's like on the old Star Trek. When they wanted to interact with technology, they slapped their chest. It made a noise. Even then, that little thing makes a difference. It makes a noise.
Then
it told you that it's active. And then they would talk to it and it would do something. It was very back and forth transactional. It wasn't conversational.
Well, one of the things that we talk
about,
it was
still good.
One of the things we talk about in our presentations is that right now, our interaction with technology is not natural. For the longest time, it has not been natural. We even have this little bump thing that people are discovering on our spine.
I don't know if that's real or not.
No, I've read articles about it. Now, they might be
on the internet. That means it's real.
It's got to be real. But you're looking down at your phone all the time.
There's actually
not natural.
There's actually a term that they use for that for kids. I was in the hallway the other day and somebody had texted me. I was walking through central office and I'm literally looking at my phone. I almost ran into the wall. I almost ran into a couple of people because I was looking at my phone and answering a text.
Good thing there wasn't an open manhole close by.
One of the what used to be the assistant principal at the high school, who now runs our alternative behavior center, Toby says he used a term that like it's something to do with high school kids. It's like
I don't remember it.
I'd like to know what it is, because basically it's the you're going to run into walls term. And that's just the phone. I mean, the phone is the most common way we interact with technology.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you know, you can put your AirPods, earbuds in if you want, which I do quite often now. But you still, even then, if you're sitting at your desk and you're typing, you have a desk that goes up and down. I have a desk I can stand up at with a padding on the floor, because at the end of the day, the keyboard interface is not natural either. Not really.
Mm-mm.
When we interact normally with humans,
Like
and
we're sitting here
like
right
we're
now.
sitting here right now, it's conversational, it's back and forth, it's natural.
Yes.
So I don't like the way we interact with it. And it's one of the things that I get very excited about artificial intelligence. I know a lot of people are trying to make claims about what it does that are well beyond what I care about. What I really care about is, can we change the user paradigm to where the user interacts with technology to make it more natural? And I got lots of reasons for that. And we're going to talk about that in some of our professional developments that we're doing. But at the end of the day, I think that interaction needs to change. Now, as you said a second ago, what wows me and what wows you is not the same thing. You tend to be very practical.
Mhm.
You've been in a classroom, you were in it for 10 years. When you were in the classroom, what excited you could have saved you just a little bit. Remember when we were testing that one piece of technology in Melanie's room?
Yes.
And it was the interactive whiteboard.
Yes.
And at the time, those boards, they weren't the LCD panels like most of them are now. They were interactive whiteboards. And you had to calibrate them by touching them.
Yes, like this little grid would come up
And
with
you had
the
to
dots,
touch the dots.
and you would have to touch each and every dot to calibrate the board. Well, the problem was the board would lose calibration a couple of times a day.
Yes.
Because of the air conditioner coming on and because of the door being closed too hard.
In your room, it was the door was the main one.
Yes.
So if somebody slammed your door, it vibrated the wall.
And
it
what
lost
did we
calibration.
do?
The one we found that the teacher got excited about was one that you had a button.
You just push the button.
You pushed the button and it recalibrated, put a grid pattern on this, and it recalibrated itself, because we sat in a classroom in the 7th grade and we watched in the teacher's room, and that teacher lost their students in the 7 seconds it took her
to push all the dots.
Mm-hmm. What we discovered was she did not get excited about that technology till that one particular feature was there.
Yes.
That's the kind of stuff you tend to think about, whereas
yes,
I think
the
about
practical. You lose them in 7 seconds. It takes you 10 minutes to get them back.
That's correct.
So
when we talk about wow factor, I went a couple of different directions with it. I mean, right now the Olympics is going on.
There's a lot of things going on. I mean, the opening ceremony for the Olympics, I heard it was very different.
I heard it was terrible.
And yet interesting.
I heard it was terrible, but I didn't honestly watch it. I need to go back, I guess, on YouTube and watch it.
Oh, maybe.
I don't tend to watch the Olympics. I watch certain parts of the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't tend to watch the opening ceremonies. I'm not like a groupie with the Olympics. I don't watch it really heavy.
But one of the things that's happening with the Olympics is they're really advertising artificial intelligence, Intel's AI specifically.
Intel apparently is a big sponsor.
Everywhere at the Olympics. So what type of stuff are they doing with AI in the Olympics?
Well, when I was doing the research on it, they broke it up into like 4 groups. And of course, Intel wants to really advertise this. They're talking about they've got 8K streams running off. That's a lot. We don't have an 8K TV, so it wouldn't really do us any good. I'm assuming if you have an 8K TV, it's really cool to watch the Olympics with your 8K stream. I guess maybe it's more like feeling.
We need to go buy one.
Oh yeah, sure we do. Okay,
let's go buy an 8K
I suspect
television.
Those would not be cheap. But anyway, so the first group was just the hardware. There's a whole bunch of new hardware they've got. I can't even imagine how much they spent on hardware. They talk about their Intel Getty platform being used for automated highlights. Again, I think that's kind of cool because.
Well, one here talks about they're using a voice clone of a sportscaster, Al Michaels. So they're cloning his voice to narrate the action.
Yeah, that's not getting great reviews.
Okay.
Before we started our podcast, I pulled up a review. Now, this could be someone who just hates the idea of AI.
Well, considering the name of the
Vulture.com.
Vulture?
That's the name of the maybe, or I don't know if Vulture tends to lean for or against, or maybe they're legitimately have a point. But I thought it was interesting because I think it seems like the person really kind of maybe likes this broadcaster. So they watched the demo of it. It was interesting, but they said it sounds very, I don't know, bland would be the word, almost, that it lost that extra that he probably puts into his, and that's fair. That's fair.
The inflection of the voice, the pauses at the right moments. I mean, human
They
interaction.
did try that. They did try to do all that to make all the pauses. I think that one of the things that people forget because they're so eager to rip things apart, it seems like that's what everybody wants to do nowadays.
It's easier.
Well, as you and I talk about, you're either, if you're for something, then you're so for it, it's crazy. And if you're against it, you have to be really against it.
Mm-hmm. There's no
in between. I tend to be in the middle. I see the potential of this technology, but I'm not saying it's perfect today.
Right. Yeah. So let's go back and talk some more about what else is going on.
Hold on.
With the AI and the wow factor.
Now it's starting to get into stuff I thought was cooler.
Immersive on-site experiences. So they're doing interactive experiences for fans, and they're doing it throughout the games. They're having fan features that allow fans to put themselves in an Olympic athlete's shoes. So it's like an immersive experience that's going to use a combination of AI and computer vision, and it's going to let fans complete a series of athletic drills, like what Jared used to do, like with football drills and things like that. And then they analyze their performance, and it's going to match them with whatever sport that they're going to excel in. So basically, if they have a donut eating competition,
I don't think they have those.
I would be okay with that.
You don't even eat donuts. I would like to try. That sounds really cool. I don't know how you go find this stuff. I haven't done enough research to go actually find these.
Well, it's an on-site experience. So basically, if you're there, you can probably go.
Oh, you're right. That is on-site.
It's an on-site.
So we need to go to Paris.
That's a long flight.
It is a long flight for someone who doesn't like to fly. That's a long flight.
That's a cool factor. That's something that people who go watch the Olympics they're athletic themselves. I mean, Jared, our son, I could see our son just really enjoying doing stuff like that.
He would
figure
definitely
out what he would be the best at, in the Olympics. Now, something that I think is really cool is the accessibility tools.
Well, and that's one of those things that plays very well with what I was talking about earlier. When people are so eager to tear down this technology before it's even had time to develop,
they're hurting other people.
They forget about the fact that it's not just about whether or not it's perfect. For some people, they just need it to be better than what's currently there.
I say it all the time when it comes to translations. When you use an AI to translate something from English into a different language, it doesn't have to be perfect. Because believe me, if I learn Spanish and I talk Spanish to somebody else, it is not going to be perfect. So, having an AI do it for me, something is better than nothing. And here you're talking about these accessibility tools for visually impaired spectators. So basically, it's a company that's using AI technology. They've created 3D models of Team USA's headquarters, and it's assisting the visually impaired individuals to actually navigate through with a specially designed smartphone app, and it provides directions and guidance. So it's talking to them. It's a smartphone app. They're able to use a voice navigation tool.
Now, they talk about that going to the headquarters. Is that for actual athlete? Well, no. Well, they mentioned that they use the same tool at the Paralympic Committee headquarters in Bonn, Germany. But I wonder because they talk about going through Team USA's headquarters. Who is that? Maybe reporters that are going through there?
Anyone who's visually impaired that
I know,
needs
but
to go.
Why would they be in the Team USA's headquarters?
Well, you've got lots of people that are going to be in the headquarters. You've got the people who are serving food. You've got the people who are cleaning it. You've got the people who are, running errands. You've got the assistants. You've got the coaches. You've got the team. I mean, there's probably a lot of people that are in and out of that headquarter location that the USA team's staying at. So the other thing is they're preserving Olympic
This one's the
history.
one I like. This is the one I like. This one's the coolest to me because they're talking about preserving the legacy of the Olympic Games using neural object cloning set. I hadn't even heard of that. Intel will transform video footage of artifacts in the Olympic collections into 3D digital models through its emergent AI lab. Olympic fans will be able to interact with 3D models and have the ability to manipulate them with their hands. Neural object cloning. That, to me, in my mind, when you talk about large language models and AI doesn't have the information that you're looking for recorded like on a disk, like normal digital storage, like we're used to. It's a path through a neural net that recreates that particular piece of information. What I'm wondering is, are they using that idea and literally transferring the information into the neural nets, sort of like building their own language model that specifically allows them to preserve this information? If that's what they're doing, that's really cool.
Okay, so the first thing that comes to my mind is
brain-to-brain transfer. That's really cool to think about.
That's not what came to my
that's
mind.
not what came to your mind?
That transfer didn't work very well there, dear.
Sorry.
You didn't get that brain-to-brain transfer. No, I'm thinking about the movie that they had the historian. Was it War of the Worlds?
No, that was the H.G. Wells time.
H.G. Wells time machine.
The later one, not the earlier one, because they've done a bunch of variations.
But they also had, like, this would be something that you could go to like 100 years from now, and it's like a footage of the Olympics for 2024 that you're able to
remember
to view.
The series we watched, Cosmos.
Yes.
The latest one.
Yes.
The one with, what's that guy's name? Anyway, I can't think of his name.
Well, it matters.
The astronomer. Anyway, at the very last episode, they had these avatars, like they were avatars of, Einstein and all that other stuff. And they were supposed to allow you to interact with this avatar, like you were talking to Einstein or Newton or whatever. That's what that is. That's what I thought about. I don't know if that's it.
Okay, so I'm going to throw something out there that I think is going to be horrible, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway.
Okay.
All right. I have a VHS tape.
Mm-hmm.
I can't view it.
You want to make it into
I have a CD.
You'll make it into a neural net?
I can't view it.
So is this going to be better than that for
Is
long
it going
term?
to be better for long term? And like,
that's a good question.
What's going to happen if we have it all there and then we lose the technology, or the technology changes over the years and all of a sudden we have all this information that we can't view?
I don't think that fixes that.
So anyway.
Long-term storage
I just wanted to
is
throw that out there.
Long-term storage of information is a whole different. There's people that have their PhDs in that.
Somebody needs to be thinking about it.
I'm sure somebody is.
So let's move on to something other than the Olympics. Some other things that we consider wow factors is smart glasses. So
I've been wanting to get you those.
Yeah,
I want to get you the Meta ones.
You keep telling me that, but I'm just not 100% sure.
There are some people that are going to hate these things so much. When Google came out with it, the problem is if I've got a set of glasses on that look like glasses and you really can't tell that I'm live streaming,
it's privacy.
It is a huge privacy thing, and I get that.
Let's think about it in a high school.
Yeah, I know. We'll get to that in a second, but let's look at the projects first. So we're talking about the different options. There is this group that's affiliated with the MIT Media Lab, and they were building what they call proactive and contextual AI to attach to smart glasses. So they didn't want it to just look, because like I can take my phone now with OpenAI, with ChatGPT, or with my little rabbit that you don't even like. I can take either one of those and I can take a picture and say, what do you see?
Right.
And it'll describe it. This is more of if I have contextual information, the example the guy gave that was giving this talk I read about it was, you get off an airplane, it's late at night. It knows that you just got off an airplane in San Francisco and it's late at night.
Data.
And it also knows what your schedule looks like. So it either asks you or does, it goes ahead and calls for your Uber to get there. So it has access to your Uber app. So it uses agents. And he didn't call them agents, but it's kind of an agent kind of thing where it's got an agent that, gets your Uber on the way. It contacts the hotel to tell them you're on the way, or it gives you directions through the airport to get your luggage if you check luggage. It even gives you directions down, because you got to find your exit to get out of the airport.
Get your rental car, get your Uber, car. Go to the place where the Ubers actually come to.
So the glasses have that contextual information about what's going on in your life, that it utilizes along with voice and maybe even an overlay. That's what they were talking about with this particular project. And one of the examples that, as I said, this guy was talking about was the fact that it helped you semi-autonomously. It was semi-autonomous in its helping you. You didn't have to give it context. You and I talk about this with language models all the time. If you want them to answer questions, you have to prompt them with context.
Yes.
Or you have to provide either in the prompt, which is called single shot, or you have to provide it, which what they call retrieval augmented generation, which is what Agnes was.
Right. Like the document that you're going to be asking
like the document
about.
you're going to be talking about has to be ingested into a vector database. This is something that understands in real-time context.
Oh, okay. So let's talk a second about the Meta AI smart glasses.
Yes. We had somebody that came into our office. They had the version of the smart glasses before AI.
And they are a teacher at our elementary campus. And so I'm looking at that and going, okay, they're a teacher at an elementary campus. They are using the Meta AI glasses.
They weren't using the AI ones. They had apparently there was a version before that just had the audio. So you could use them.
They love them.
But she did come by. She got them for her birthday or Mother's Day or something. She came by because she wanted us to help her with something. But she really liked them. She thought they were cool.
I think she would be a great candidate to try the AI ones because she already really likes it. You listen to music.
Yeah, hers already do that. The thing hers doesn't do was talk to Meta AI. It might live stream video. I doubt it for the one she had. Mainly hers is making phone calls. It was like the earbuds, the AirPods.
Yes.
It was the ability for you to interact with your phone. I
like the fact that my AirPod will read me my text messages.
Yes.
Like as soon as I get a text message, it tells me what it says. And I'm like, oh, that's, I mean, when I'm driving, have one in one ear.
I don't think you're supposed to drive with those in. Jared told me that.
One in one ear. Hopefully the Lano calls something.
I can't do that anyway because when I get in my truck, it connects to my phone to my truck.
Anyway, I thought that was really cool. Now, if you are an administrator and you're listening to this podcast, you need to start thinking about the future.
Yes, you do.
Of this when it comes to your acceptable use policies and your student handbooks.
We tell people this all the time.
Well, this is something that is hilarious. You're going to ban cell phones. You can't have a cell phone in a classroom. I know a lot of schools who are banning cell phones.
Aren't we doing that? I think at our high school, they can't have them out during the day.
They can't have them out during the day. I think they have them out at lunch and passing periods.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I would have to read.
But a lot of schools are doing that now.
But I bring it to school because I have to have it right after school to call my parent to come get me.
So it's in my backpack.
Whatever. It's in my backpack. If it's on, I've got my smartwatch on.
Yeah, you should. I didn't know that. I didn't actually know you could send text from writing on your.
Absolutely. I write on my watch all the time. You can answer a phone call on your watch.
I've done.
Okay.
But that's going to be obvious in class.
But texting
while you're
reading your
writing
emails,
on it and reading your stuff, and it comes
all on your smartwatch. So are they going to ban smartwatches in schools?
That's going to be tough because you're going to tell kids they can't wear watches now.
Yeah. I know that at the elementary level, they have banned smartwatches because we have a kid that we caught him a few times using a smartwatch to do like calculations and stuff. So
even at elementary
Wow. So that's something you have to think about. But now let's throw a Meta glass in there. I have a prescription. My parents got me this prescription glasses.
Yes.
Because I can't see.
You can get prescription.
And you can get prescription strength Meta glasses.
So you're going to tell them they can't wear their glasses to school?
Exactly. So you need to go ahead and be thinking about that because it is coming. So anyway.
I would not be surprised if somebody's already doing it.
Now, earlier this year.
The last thing I put in here, because I mentioned the brain-to-brain thing earlier, so I was trying to lead.
We didn't do very well with that.
No, we didn't. Maybe with this.
It's a Neuralink's first human patient is able to control a mouse, like a computer mouse, through thinking. Okay. Not a real mouse. He's not like telling a little mouse how to go get his cheese. It's a computer mouse, but he's thinking about it and he is controlling it with his mind.
Now, before you start talking about, first of all, what does this have to do with AI? Well, you know that this right here is going to have AI in it.
Absolutely. It's a brain-computer interface control. The patient is controlling a computer mouse through thought alone, demonstrating the successful implementation of Neuralink's brain-computer interface technology. You know it's got to have some AI in there. It doesn't specifically say it has AI. It brings back memories of when the kids we would take them to the science lab. Look, great little science lab in Johnson City
Science Mill.
The Johnson City Science Mill. And they would sit there and they put this little thing on their brain, and they would get one on one end of a table and one on the other end of a table. And there's this ball. And then they would have to like think about the ball, and the ball would move.
Yes.
Based on their brain waves.
Well, they would push it toward each other.
Right. And that like they're like fighting.
And it was more of a biofeedback thing. It was
detecting the brain waves.
Detecting, what state your brain was in, is what
like
they said.
Electrical input, the electrical impulse of the brain.
And
whoever had the best electrical would overpower the one who didn't, and the ball
whoever could focus. Which was always Rachel.
Always Rachel. But it's one of those things I'm thinking about, okay, oh my goodness, you can actually train your brain to focus.
And that's just biofeedback. This is way beyond biofeedback.
Way beyond biofeedback. So AI is taking the biofeedback a step further.
Well, I think, and again, we talk about that all the time with the elderly. People talk about AI and how evil it is, and we shouldn't have AI, or they talk about how great it is, or whatever. And I said I'm always in the middle. And the main reason I'm in the middle is because I see the potential to change the paradigm between us, how we interact with technology.
The interface.
Some people would give up the privacy part in order to be able to move. Like the person that they're giving these people are either para or quadriplegic. They could be unable to move at all. Remember Stephen Hawkins? I mean, he had at the time, one of the most sophisticated interfaces there were.
Yes.
And it was very crude compared to what they're coming out with. When you take something like this to someone who can't move, they'll give up some privacy in order to have that ability, because the alternative is they have no life.
Right.
We talk about the same thing with the elderly. What would the elderly give up in order to have the ability to stay mobile, to be independent? Would having an AI running their house be a bad thing if the alternative was they
go in a nursing home?
They go in a assisted living or a nursing home that they really don't want to go into? I mean, if it gave them some level of independence and you put some guardrails in place with that AI, which thoughtful use of it is important. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying get off the extremes.
Okay, so one of the things that I think humans are good at is weighing the consequences. I mean, when you are little, you are taught, you touch it, it's hot, you're going to burn yourself. I mean, you start learning at a very young age to weigh the consequences.
Or like when Jacob wasn't supposed to touch something, or he's going in timeout.
The kid, I told him 3 years old, he wanted to get into the video camera bag, and I kept telling him no. And finally I was like, you're not going to get in the video camera bag, or you're going to go in timeout. And the little stinker, he went and got the kitchen timer and brought it to me.
And then went over there
and got the video bag. So he weighed the consequences. Yes. He decided it was worth being in timeout just so he could look into that video bag. Well, that's what you're talking about here.
Yes.
You're talking about an adult who has a disability, who is elderly, who is lonely, who is, doesn't have anyone to take care of them or whatever. And they are adults. They can weigh the consequences of what they might have to give up in order to get something in return.
Yeah, and that something could be independence. That something could be communication with other people, like the neural interface with this person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was an old saying, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. I think that with the right guardrails, AI can do some wonderful things. But I think if we do like we do with our politics in this country, we have one way on one direction, one way in the other, and no one left in the middle, and we all suffer for it.
Nothing gets done.
I think that's the same thing that's going to happen if we're not careful.
Yes.
There's a lot of wow factor out there. There's a lot of really cool things out there. The potential is to change is there, but it's going to take work.
It's going to take work, and it's also going to take understanding. It's going to take compromise.
And accepting some of the warts.
Accepting some of the warts. Exactly. Anyway, we are out of time. We really appreciate you guys listening in as we talk about artificial intelligence on Sundays. It's basically the only time that I allow Jim to talk about.
You wish.
Yeah, no, he talks about AI all the time. It's the only time I allow him to formally talk about artificial intelligence. And of course, I love listening. So anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to us. We hope that you have a marvelous rest of the week.